Imagine this scene. A child who is, well, fundamentally deny the kind of affection or attention they really need. We're talking about emotional neglect, that deep sort of lingering wound.
Hmm.
Now, you think about how stories usually go, films or books.
Hmm.
The expected reaction is anger, right? Fury.
Yeah, outward anger.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The child grows up hating the parents, maybe raging against the world. You expect that pain, that venom, to point outwards.
Toward the source. Makes sense.
But when we really dig into the psychology here, what we find is, well, it's profound and honestly pretty heartbreaking. The reaction is often the complete opposite.
It turns inward.
Yeah, it's not hatred that takes hold. It's this devastating, self-aimed shame.
And that's really where we need to start today. That's our mission, understanding why this happens, this psychological flip. Why does a child needing love and not getting it internalize it all and think, it must be me, I'm the problem?
Okay.
When that consistent love, that mirroring isn't there, the child just gets flooded with shame.
And this isn't just like feeling embarrassed.
Oh no, not at all. It's much deeper, it's corrosive. A total feeling that you, yourself, are inherently flawed. Fundamentally unworthy, maybe soiled, ugly, even sinful.
Wow.
Yeah. The sense of just intrinsic badness, it becomes the filter, how they see everything.
Right. Okay, let's pause there because it feels so counterintuitive. I mean, if you're thirsty, you blame the person not giving you water, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're hungry, you blame whoever's neglecting you. Why does that survival instinct suddenly turn into self-attack? Why pick self-blame over facing the truth?
Well, psychologically, the child often just can't point the blame outwards towards the parents. Think about it. They're small. They're completely dependent for everything. Physical survival, emotional stability.
Everything hinges on those caregivers.
Exactly. So inside their head, asking, what's wrong with my parents, isn't really sustainable. It's like an existential threat.
Because if the parent is the problem, the whole world feels like it could collapse. There's no safety net left.
Precisely. So the child, strangely, prefers to attack itself, to think, I'm bad. I'm the reason for this lack of love, rather than face what feels like a much scarier possibility, that the people they depend on, the ones holding their lifeline, are, well, inadequate, maybe inconsistent, maybe unkind. So the self-attack, it's actually a defense mechanism, a really desperate one designed to keep some kind of reality, even a distorted one, functioning.
So the thinking goes something like, if I'm the problem, then maybe there's hope. I can change myself. I can fix whatever's wrong with me, and then I'll earn the love.
Yes. It's a terrible kind of control, maybe, but it gives the child a sense of agency, some feeling of power in a powerless situation.
It's the ultimate psychological survival move, then.
In the short term, absolutely. It feels safer to think I'm bad, that's why I'm unloved, than I'm helpless and depend on people who might be broken. That first conclusion lets them keep trying, keep striving.
But this striving, this desperate search inside themselves for why they're getting the cold shoulder or criticism or just neglect, it leads them down the wrong path, doesn't it? To all the wrong ideas about themselves.
It creates what some sources call the crucial misdiagnosis. They look at the evidence, the lack of warmth, maybe constant criticism, and they try to connect the dots, logically.
Cause and effect.
Right. And the conclusion they reach is, I haven't been impressive enough. The lack of love isn't seen as the parent's issue. It's interpreted as solid proof of some fundamental flaw within them.
So not, my parents couldn't love me properly, but I failed to be lovable.
Exactly. I didn't meet some unspoken standards, so the rejection is justified. It's a terrible burden to place on oneself.
And what's really striking is how that core belief, I'm not impressive enough, it doesn't just vanish when you grow up and leave home.
Oh, definitely not.
It becomes this engine driving adult life, right?
Yeah.
The inner critic fueling imposter syndrome or chronic overworking or just not being able to take a compliment.
That's absolutely right. That conclusion, it sticks. Because that belief, I'm unworthy, I'm flawed, it fuels this lifelong campaign to prove otherwise. The shame is so huge they feel they have to make these enormous efforts.
Goats to prove what?
To prove to themselves, and maybe to outsiders too, that they actually do deserve to exist, despite that core feeling of unworthiness.
So how does that play out, this campaign? The source material suggests there are like two main routes people take, two extremes to try and manage that shame.
Yeah, we often see the personality kind of diverging onto one of two main paths, coping strategies, really.
Yeah.
The first one is what you might call the path of extreme goodness, or the impressive route.
The high achiever.
Exactly. This is the child who tries, 7 times harder than anyone else. Their whole life becomes about collecting evidence.
Evidence of their own worth.
Yeah.
Like building a keep file.
Precisely, like an airtight portfolio. Striving for perfection, top grades, obedience, later career success, all of it. They need to demonstrate, mostly to that inner critic, that they are good enough, clever enough, flawless enough.
And therefore worthy of the love they missed.
But the drive isn't usually coming from joy or passion. It's often fueled by this deep fear. Fear of disappearing, almost, if they stop achieving. If they put down that portfolio of accomplishments, the shame just rushes back in.
You really do see that, don't you? The adult who just cannot relax. The person who takes any failure, even a small one, as like a total indictment of their character.
Yes.
Their self-worth is completely tied to what they produce. They're still trying, decades later, to be impressive enough for that impossible standard a child set.
It's exhausting. And if that perfectionism, that intense effort to prove worthiness, is one side of the coin, what about the child who maybe feels they just can't win that game? The one who sort of gives up trying to be good.
So then we pivot to the second path, the opposite extreme.
That's right, the path of extreme badness. But crucially, it's driven by the exact same thing, that overwhelming internalized shame.
How does that work? It seems paradoxical.
Well, that child is already tormented inside by this feeling of being inherently bad, right? Defective, soiled, unworthy. So they might choose a route that's more antisocial, maybe destructive.
They embrace the label.
In a way, yes. The feeling inside is so strong, they decide to just give it outward form. They almost preemptively accept the verdict that they feel has already been passed on them internally.
Can you give a sort of concrete example, more than just rebellion?
Sure. Think about the example that sometimes comes up. The kid who vandalizes something, like graffitiing a nearby wall or underpass, it's not just random anger. It can be this desperate public statement.
What's the statement?
It's like they're wearing the bad label on the outside because they feel consumed by badness on the inside anyway. They're almost saying, you think I'm unworthy? Fine. Watch how unworthy I can be. They lean into the accusation instead of fighting it constantly.
Wow. That's, yeah, tragic kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Making the outside match the inside, because maybe that feels more honest or less exhausting than pretending to be perfect when you feel broken.
And what the sources really stress here is the tragic bind. There's essentially no way out from that burden of shame through either of these routes, trying to be extremely good or extremely bad.
Either works.
Neither works. The striving perfectionist, the self-sabotaging rebel, they're just two different strategies for managing the exact same underlying pain, the same core belief, I am not worthy of love. They're both traps, really, built on that lie the child had to tell itself to survive.
Okay, so if trying harder doesn't fix it, and leaning into the badness doesn't fix it,
Yeah.
what's left? What is the actual path to release from this? If the root is believing you did something wrong, the solution has to involve undoing that original mistake, right? That necessary lie.
It does. But it requires a huge shift, a really monumental change in perspective as an adult. It demands conscious effort, what we might call the work of perception, meaning you have to actively work against the tendency to forget. Forget why you were forced, as a dependent child, to blame yourself in the first place. You have to work to see a possibility that was just unthinkable back then, literally impossible to grasp when you were small and needed those adults for everything.
So if extreme goodness is about trying to fix yourself, and extreme badness is about accepting you're unfixable,
Yeah.
what's the first step in correcting that original error, that foundational mistake?
It's the realization, the deep gut-level knowing that the fault was never yours. It's arising at the understanding that you have done nothing wrong at all. The wrong was done to you.
That feels like a massive difference.
It's profound. It means shifting the core belief, moving from I was unloved because I am unworthy to the liberating truth. I was unloved because my caregivers, for whatever reason, were inconsistent or inadequate or perhaps unkind.
So you stop trying to fix yourself.
And you start trying to understand the history of the harm you actually endured. That shift, that is what allows the shame, that feeling of being intrinsically dirty or bad, to finally begin to lift, to dissipate.
That single distinction, changing I am defective to I was harmed.
Yeah.
That seems like the absolute key. The difference between a life run by childhood shame and, well, a life lived with adult freedom. So to kind of wrap up this deep dive, The self-hatred, the relentless drive, the inner turmoil we often see, it wasn't an innate flaw. It was actually a smart, if desperate, childhood survival strategy.
Yeah.
It was necessary then to avoid facing the terrifying idea that the parents might be the ones who are inadequate.
Exactly. And that brings us to maybe the final thought we want to leave you with, something to reflect on looking at our adult lives.
Okay.
If any of this resonates, the chronic perfectionism maybe, or the self-sabotage, just that constant, exhausting need to be impressive, maybe ask yourself, today, right now, how much energy are you still pouring into proving you're impressive enough? Instead of truly, deeply accepting that the original fault, that original absence of love, it was never, ever yours to carry. It wasn't your burden to begin with.
Definitely something to reflect on. A powerful journey to understand.
Indeed.
Until next time.